Well, howdy there, Internet students. It's Mr. Hermanson again. Today we're going to learn how to multiply binomials. A binomial is an expression with two terms like this. So we're going to learn how to multiply things that maybe look like this. Anyway, we'll get to that in a bit. How about you go ahead and check out this vocabulary thing and answer the questions and check back and see if you got them right. All right, this first problem, we're going to use a distributive property just so you kind of understand why there's more terms than you expect when you multiply two binomials. So this is a binomial, this is a binomial because they each have two terms. And when you multiply them together, you actually get four terms, but sometimes some of the terms you can simplify because there's actually four parts of the product here. Now, just so you can kind of relate, let's say we're doing 52 times 61. You don't think that there's four parts to that multiplication problem, but there actually is. There's the 1 times the 2, the 1 times the 50, the 6 times the 2, and the 6 times the 50. There's actually four parts there. Similarly, we're going to have four parts when we do a product like this. So using the distributive property, we're going to take this x plus 4 right here. So we're going to take this x plus 4, and first we're going to multiply it by this 2x. So that'll look like this. X plus 4 times 2x. Doesn't really matter which side I put that on because multiplication is commutative. And then I'm going to do the x plus 4 times the second part, which is this -1. Now I'm going to simplify this. 2x times x is 2x squared. And 2x times 4 is 8x. -1 times x is -1x. And -1 times 4 is -4. Now these two are like terms, so we can simplify those. And we're left with three terms, and when you have three terms, that's known as a trinomial. Usually when you multiply two binomials, you get a trinomial. All right, why don't you give that a shot? Now here's what my work looks like. Just want you to notice something here. When you put this in distributive property, notice we have the 4x plus the 3, that one there. And then we have the other term, the x minus 6, inside the parentheses. Now you might have it the other way around. You could also do it this way. You could split up the x and the minus 6 and then put 4x plus 3 in parentheses. That would also work. You'd get the same answer. All right. Now, using a table, this is actually going to be our go-to method. Actually, if you had difficulty with that distributive property, I wouldn't care if this was the only method you remembered. This one's the most important because we're going to use it to help us reason and do other types of math with. So what I'd like you to do is to create a 2x2 multiplication table. And then on the outside, we're going to put the two terms like this. So the 3x plus 1. And it really wouldn't matter if you put that on the vertical or the horizontal line. And then the other one, we're going to put 4x minus 2. Now, make sure if there's a negative, you have a negative in front of it, like that. And then we're just going to do this, treat this like a multiplication table. For this cell right here, I'm going to do 3x times 4x, which is 12x. For this cell here, I'm going to do 3x times -2, which is -6x. x. For this cell here, I'm going to do 1 times 4x, which is 4x. And for this last cell right here, I'm going to do 1 times -2, which is -2. Now, I'm going to look at all these. I forgot my little 2 here when I multiplied those. I'm going to look for like terms, and then I'm just going to write it out in standard form, which has the highest power first, so 12x squared. I'm going to combine this -6x with this 4x, and that makes -2x. Then I'm going to put my constant term here of -2. All right, so make yourself a table. Put the 2 binomials as the horizontal and the vertical rows, columns, and go ahead and do that multiplication, and then write your polynomial, trinomial it'll be, in standard form. All right, here's my work on that one. So I would suggest that if you only learn one of these methods today, that this table is the most important, and I would actually use that most often when you're doing multiplications like this. We have this method called the FOIL method. It's an acronym for first, outside, inside. And I'm going to put these together because the outside and the inside, we actually combine those, add them together, and then the last. So we do those multiplications, and then we simplify. The nice thing about the FOIL method is you can do this part in your head, so it actually maybe saves a step. It's probably a method you can ask your parents about, and they remember it. It's been around a long time. So the first term from each binomial, the 7x and the x, you multiply those first. That's 7x squared. Then you do the outside 2, which is the 7x and the -4. That makes -28x. Now, normally I would just keep this in my head, that -28x. I wouldn't write it down. Then you do the inside 2, which are the 1 and the x, so plus 1x. Now, I would have done -28 plus 1 in my head and just wrote -27x. So that's where you can save a little bit of time. And then the last parts of each binomial are the 1 and the -4, so multiply those together, and that makes -4, and then you just simplify what you have. So some people like this method. I personally still like the table better, but give it a shot, see if you can use the FOIL method for a problem. So if you get good at that method, you can just write down the answer right away. All right. So applying multiplication binomial. So basically, we're finding the area, which is length times width, and each of those are given as a binomial. So let's just go ahead and use our table here. And you need to put 5x minus 2 for one side of that table, and 2x plus 1 for the other. And then you're going to do 10x squared there, 5x there, -4x there, -2 there. Simplify it from the table and write your polynomial. All right, why don't you try one of them? You know what, I hope you didn't spend too much time on that, but here's basically what you want to do, and there's a lot of geometry in here involved with doing this that you probably don't know about yet, so so I think this would be a good problem to skip. All right. But here we're multiplying a trinomial and a binomial. Now this is where the table really comes in handy. You can make the table any size you want. You need 3 terms here, so let's just make 3 columns, and then you need 2 rows because this is a binomial here. So I'm going to put the x and the 3 there, and then the 2x squared minus 5x plus 4. And multiplying these two out, I get 2x to the third, 6x squared, negative 5x squared, negative 15x, 4x, and 12. And you can combine those into one when you write your polynomial, and you can combine those two into one when you write your polynomial. So in standard form, highest degree first, it would be 2x to the third. Adding the 5, negative 5 and the 6 gives us 1x squared. Adding the negative 15 and the 4 gives us negative 11x, and then plus 12. All right, why don't you try one of those? And your answer should look something like that. All right, that should do it. I think you're ready to go on to do some practice. Good luck with that. We'll talk to you soon.